Really?
Okay, recording is progress. Then, hi Shandan, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And welcome to the summer school organized by St. Petersburg State University. If you don't mind, I will now introduce you to the audience of our summer school in Russian, and then we will come back to English and to discussion of the employment policy of India. Шандан, наш коллега из Индии, он является координатором сети Хартии трудящихся. Это самая крупная сеть низовых организаций трудящихся, представленных в формальной и неформальной экономике Индии. Он старший советник по вопросам политики профсоюза неформальных работников, а также член национального консультативного совета по минимальной заработной плате. Это такой высший орган комитета правительства Индии, который участвует в определении минимальной заработной платы. Он принимал участие в разработке многочисленных трудовых программ, политики в отношении складских работников, строительных рабочих, принудительного труда рабочих, мигрантов и так далее. Кроме этого, он является участником различных глобальных движений за трудовые права и социальную справедливость, в частности, Международного альянса транспортных рабочих, Международной сети юристов, помогающим рабочим, Amazon Workers International, Транснациональной азиатской сети солидарности трудящихся, Asia-Europe People's Forum. Он верит в интернационализм и в укрепление единства между низовыми рабочими движениями экономического севера и экономического юга. Шандан удивительно харизматичный и яркий представитель профсоюзов, и я очень рада, что он нашел время для того, чтобы с нами поговорить. Shandan, it's really a pleasure to introduce you because, you know, already from the introduction, I feel how cool you are, how charismatic you are, and I love that. So thanks again for your time, and let's come to the question. So my first question was about the main components of the state's current employment policy and how do they address the needs of both employers and job seekers in India? I don't hear you, you are muted.
Sorry, no, sorry, yeah. So, first of all, thank you so much, Elana. It's an honor to be invited and speak about challenges in India, particularly about employment and labor market and so on. And I'm so privileged and honored to be invited. The first question which you asked me, I think India's employment policies and how Indian government is doing and so on. I think India's employment policies talks about many things, but in reality, on ground, it is really not there because of many reasons. And India's employment policy, you can say that India would like to, you know, kind of compete with the other big the manufacturing countries like China, countries like you can say that other Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, like Vietnam. If you, there's a different industry. If you talk about garment supply chain, then of course India would like to compete with Bangladesh, Pakistan. Similarly, if you would like to talk about the automobile production, they want to compete with China. So India indeed would like to, you know, enhance their whole productivity, whether it's a manufacturing productivity or non-manufacturing productivity, but they definitely would like to basically, you know, increase and enhance those things. But the problem is that there is employment and there are jobs are being created also through the what you call the emergence of platform and gig economy. So I can give you many such examples where India is planning to create employment. India is trying to basically revamp their employment policies and revamping the policies in order to enhancing employment to the very large scale, because there's a whole political debate about that. India has not been able to create jobs or manufacture jobs, and that's the main crisis. Even, you know, that we have election going on at this moment currently, and the biggest debate, the biggest political economy debate about India is about employment. So having said this, giving you this whole context, in my opinion, there are jobs. But the whole question is that are these jobs are what we call the decent jobs? Are these jobs are kind of dignified jobs? Do these jobs basically ensure labor rights? Are these jobs basically protect the human dignity, respect? Are these jobs, kind of adhering or respecting international standards or human rights standards? No. But that's a kind of distinction I would like to make, that there is an employment policy which would like to focus on different areas, different sectors, which I just talked about that. At the same time, they are also creating jobs, but these jobs are not really, adhere or respect or basically, kind of follow certain diligence, which is needed or called by the trade unions or called by the human rights organizations and so on. So that's the first thing. And second thing is very quickly about that India's working class, they do not have industrial skills, adequate industrial skills, which can manufacture products, what we call the world-class products, which other countries are producing. So that's also one of the big challenges, because our education system, our system where you create labor market which has the skilled workers is not there. So you even though you have an industry, let's say that different manufacturing hubs and so on, but you don't have enough working class or kind of adequate working class who are eligible for these jobs. So we are facing two prolonged challenges in that case, and employment policy do not talk about that.
Okay, thank you. And what is the statistics of employment market nowadays? What is the percent of unemployment?
So there are different data. That's the whole thing. I mean, this is a very tricky to explain. The problem of explaining this, that India's market are largely informal, which is like almost over 90% of the working class are informal workers. So yeah, I mean, I know that it's really mind-boggling data. And when you talk about, I just give you one more example. If you talk about the manufacturing sector, and manufacturing sectors, basically, I say that there's a whole phenomena, what we call the minimum MSME sector, which is called micro medium enterprises, and that basically creates over 60% of the manufacturing jobs. But if you go in terms of reality on the ground, these MSMEs, these micro, small, medium enterprises, basically are not regularized, which means they're not registered. Government do not have any data that who's producing what and so on. So it's very, really mind-boggling. That's why I'm saying that even whatever data I quote or whatever data I give you, it does not authenticate or kind of legitimize the numbers. So government, yeah, I mean that's kind of very sad situation, but that's a reality. So if you ask me that in government of India says that our unemployment at this moment is over let's say that there's a different data. It says that there's an unemployment rate is like a 70% or 65%, like a 65% of younger population, the youth population between age group of 18 to 40, they're looking for the job. There's not enough jobs available, right? On the similar line, I would say that there are jobs are created, but of course, as I said, it's not regularized, and which means that even though there is a jobs, there are people who are working, but they do not feel that this is employment for me. The third question is that even there are jobs, good jobs, but you don't have enough labor surplus, or you don't have skilled workers who are eligible or equipped to get this job. So we have a different conditions. So whatever data I quote and whatever logic I give you, those may not be appropriate to substantiate my argument. But as a union organizer, as a labor rights activist, I can say that we are facing a massive, huge crisis of unemployment, and this issue is not been able to resolve because we have not been able to focus on the employment policies, which needs to be focusing on creating a good human capital needed for the different industrial boom, which India would like to do through the employment policies.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think we can shift to my third question, because you've described that the problem is with first unemployment, then the huge part of informal employment, and then the lack of the skilled workers. So I wanted to ask if the state collaborates with private sector companies, educational institutions, and other stakeholders to create job opportunities and to ensure a skilled workforce. if there are any particular programs. Thank you.
So yes, so for example, this government, the current government, the BJP government, which is led by the Prime Minister Modi, they came up with a very big, massive plan called Skill India. And under the Skill India program, they collaborated with the many institutions. They collaborated, or also they set up many different industrial schools. And the idea was to basically, train the whole new section of workforce and make them eligible for the industrial need or industrial demand of the workers, right? That was the main program started. Government claims that they have, skilled they have skilled over 50 million workers and for the different sectors and so on. But the problem, Elena, is that even you provide them or give them a basic industrial training and so on, but if you see the education system in India, our primary level of education or secondary level of education, particularly in the rural India, is really not adequate or great. People don't have even the basic education system. If people don't understand or have or clarity on the primary level education or secondary level education, and suddenly you send those people for the industrial training, what will they learn? Because your elementaries are not clear. And that is one of the analysis we came up with, that because you have a majority of children or majority of adolescents that do not have a good education system, or they do not have access of good education system, even we create a kind of structure for the good industrial training, you cannot be trained. And that is one of the shocking findings. And we ask government that, even you do the Skill India program, even you create the massive skilling program, but until you do not connect this with the basic education structure, we won't be able to improve on that. So in my opinion, whatever farce or whatever kind of shallow programs you were running in collaborating with different schools and different institutions and skilling and so on, look at that. 10 years down the line, this a whole massive program called Skill India collapsed like anything, collapsed like a house of cards, I would call it that. And on similar line, that you see that, take in the garment sector, take automobile sector, take a seafood industry. There are many industries where we were competing with the many Southeast Asian countries and South Asian countries. We cannot compete that. Bangladesh is much ahead. Can you imagine that Bangladesh is ahead of India as far as the garment and textile manufacturing is concerned? So I think we are still facing a crisis which political leadership are not interested to talk about that. And that's the main problem. Though our size of economy looks very bigger. India claims that we are like a 5th largest economy. We have become a $3 trillion economy. But if you see the income parity, the income inequality, that's huge, because that money, that so-called the big economy, is lying with a very few people. But majority of your people do not have even the basic means. They do not earn the minimum wages. They do not have basic social security. They don't have enough skilling. They don't have adequate housing. So the majority of the working class, what we call the informal workers, have nothing. And that's the whole crisis about that.
Thank you. Quite a desperate picture.
Very desperate.
And this program is really interesting to know a little bit more about the program of Skill India. Was it in collaboration with employers, or those students who graduated from this program were supposed to find jobs themselves? How it was organized?
Yeah, a lot of these programs were initiated with or in collaboration with the big industries or big employers. Like you talk about construction industry, it was initiated in collaboration with one of the biggest construction company called Larsen and Toubro, L&T. On similar line, there are different companies who took the initiatives. But again, as I explained in my explained just now, that these people or these workers are not trainable because they didn't have kind of adequate elementary and primary education. And that's one of the things which we learned over the time. Second question is also that there are chunk of population, or there is a sizable population basically who got the training and they joined the industrial workforce arena. But one of the big complaint which came from those workers and those working people, that let's say that I'm a unskilled construction workers and I was earning as an informal workers, like let's say that I would say that 500 rupees, 500 Indian rupees in a day. When I get the industrial training, which means that my wages should be enhanced, my wages should be increased, right? But when they went to the industry, their productivity rose, their skill also enhanced, but their wages were remain same. So wage stagnation was basically the big blow. And they said, then why would I work for you? It's better I go back to my small areas and I earn lesser, but I don't end up paying the very expensive rent and very high prices, the food prices and so on. So there are many populations who came to the cities, got the industrial training in collaboration with the big companies, and because their socioeconomic condition didn't change, they went back. So this is also kind of example. So I'm just telling you the real story, and I know because of the current situation, many newspaper or many media will not talk about it because this is not the story what we call the India's growth story. So that's a dark reality, but that's the truth. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. It's really extremely interesting. And now let's speak about the problem of informal labor. What the state is doing, if any, to reduce informal labor?
So, see, there is a lot of debate about it. There's a huge debate about it, and I would like to connect this question with my last answer. There's a whole global debate that we need to march towards formalization from informalization, right? That you are informal workers and you need to do something so that you become formalized. That's not a case as far as the India's market is concerned. There are many workers who don't want to be part of formal system, right? They say that okay, this gives us a lot of autonomy. For example, street vendors. For examples, there are many gig workers, part of the transport industry, part of service industry or service economy, and so on. This gives me huge flexibility. And if I go and be part of the formal system, then I have to end up paying taxes, and those taxes will not fetch me anything. That India is one of the very corrupt country. Even you pay the taxes, and those taxes and those money basically goes to bail out all the corrupt corporates. The government basically waive off the loan or kind of write off the big loans which these big cronies basically take it. So in that context, if you go and talk to this section of the workforce which I just talked about, like street vendors, service sector workers, and transport sector workers, like, no, I don't want to be part of any system. If I get formalized, I will be part of very formal system and will be obligated to pay many taxes which I don't want to pay that. So that's why when ILO started these discussions about informalizations to formalization in 2012, this is a kind of recommendation number 204, I believe, that of the Convention 102 Social Security, and this whole idea, this whole phenomena of formalization collapsed because the labor market is such. Labor market is very different. I give you one more small example. Let's say that whole emergence of e-commerce industry, for example, right? And I'm not sure, I mean, that how people see the India's market, and that's why I think Mr. Bezos and many big e-commerce industry would like to capture the market, because when you come to India, there is a massive, unregulated garment manufacturing hub. I just talked about that, and that basically production goes to the street vendors. There's a huge street vendors, what you call the street economy, you name it, anything, and they are part of this whole unregulated market, right? So if Amazon comes and offers the better deal, then the lot of street vendors will wipe out. And they're in the huge number. They are like almost 200 million people, right? So you cannot just say that these 200 million jobs will be, and this is one of the fear, that if Amazon comes to India and if they take over the market, the e-commerce market, will be losing over 100 million jobs. This is the data is available on that. So that's what I'm telling you, that this whole debate about formalizing, I sometimes feel that it's very kind of global north debate, and it's also with a very capitalist kind of strategy or conspiracy to take over the informal market in global south. I don't know if I'm be able to explain it, but this is the real picture on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, it's extremely interesting because I'm starting to understand that there is no, kind of one size solution for these problems. Because in the end, the state, well, in my humble opinion, the state has to impose something on people because it is also the culture of paying taxes. So unless you start paying taxes, you will not have the normal developing society. And also those workers who are now healthy and they may tell you that they don't need the protection, who knows what is going to happen with them tomorrow when they will need medical care and all this stuff, which they might have had if they were formal workers.
No,
But
but
anyway, yeah.
no, but that's a situation because these street vendors, for example, the part of what you say that the e-commerce industry, right? The supply chain of e-commerce industry, right? They pay municipal taxes. They pay the taxes to basically vending in the cities area. They pay the heavy taxes. But at the end of days, whatever taxes they are paying, even that is not also helping them. Look at the municipal corporations coming and evicting their vending zone, which means that there's a huge loss to those people because that is their main livelihood, right? So you collect taxes for what? To provide the quality education. You collect taxes for what? To provide the good health care. You collect taxes for what? To provide you good civic services. And they're doing nothing. Even they have a money and all the money is basically going into some corrupt system, right? So people, the citizens don't have trust on this government, right? That even you pay the taxes, they are fine. They say that, I'm happy to pay taxes. I'm happy to be part of the formal system, but for what? What I'm getting out of it? Even your existing system is not working it out. So please leave us. We are functioning well. We don't have any problem. Just don't evict us. Don't displace us. Don't give our vending land or our working places to big corporates. Don't basically prohibit or kind of put the regulations of these small manufacturing units that they have to sell their products to the big e-commerce industry because we own it. So I think, in my opinion, there is not very clear ways. The way labor market, the way businesses, the way employment regulations functions in the global south is very different from the global north, and we cannot put the entire thing in the same binaries. I'm just saying that, yeah.
Yeah, it's extremely interesting. Thank you. And what you speak about street vendors, well, we can call them workers from the point of view of the англ, right? Because they're kind of independent, so they are not subordinate to anyone. And I wanted to ask if you know and how spread in India is the practice when the worker who is a subordinate classical worker but doesn't have a formal employment contract, how often he will go to the court or whatever the legal procedure is to recognize the existence of the formal labor relations.
So court system or any system, what you call grievance redressal mechanism, those systems are largely meant for the industrial workforce. And even for them, it's not working it out because the labor laws and labor inspection system, labor court system are very, very fragile. It's very, very old. There's a whole effort to change it. So in India, largely, as I said, that over 90% of the workforce cannot be part of this whole labor law system because they are informal workers. They don't have contracts. They don't.
So they will not go to the court to recognize the existence of
no. Because
labor
even
relations.
they want to go to the court. Even they want to go to the court system do not recognize them as workers because of the employment relationship. Because there's no employer-employee relationship. There is no concept of the wages system. Basically, that's why I'm saying that 90% of the workforce don't have the clear, what you say, that the basic employee-employer relationship, which means that even you would like to go to the court cannot solve your problem.
Okay. And my last question, I understand already after our conversation that it might be quite naive, but still I will ask it. What are the measures of support of unemployed people in India?
So India claims that we are a welfare state, and that's the whole idea because one of the thing which people should think about that India is still a very agrarian economy. 42% of India's workforce are part of agrarian economy, and agrarian economy is totally informal, right? Then again, I'll go with the other sections like domestic workers. Again, informal, their functions informally. So if you technically kind of calculate that over 65 to 75% of the workforce still needs some kind of state guarantee in terms of the welfare mechanism. So India claims to provide that we provide them free healthcare, or we provide them pension, or we provide them some kind of compensation, or some kind of maternity entitlements, or some kind of the food security. So these are kind of the larger programs meant for the poor people, what you call working poor, right? So these are accessible in a very, very tiny sense. So I would say that we have one of the biggest food security programs, but basically that 800 million people basically get the free food access, not in the big volume or big numbers, but they still get it, right? So on similar line, there is some kind of very basic healthcare, basic education, basic food security, basic maternity compensation is available for the poorest of the poor. And I would say that they would constitute not more than 30 to 35% of the total workforce. So there is something where the poorer people can bank on that, and they won't die if there is no jobs or something, the extremely poor population. But
okay,
yeah.
So these are measures for the poor people, so not the measures for those who are temporarily unemployed and who seek employment.
Nothing.
Okay.
So that's the whole rationale, is that these are also the unemployed people, right? The whole rationale is these people don't have mechanism to access a good jobs and something. That's why state is providing them, and they have been kept in the category of extreme poor people. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. You've drawn quite a sad picture of the employment market in India, but I'm sure that thanks to your efforts and the efforts of your colleagues, you will be capable to challenge the way of things, perhaps not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. And I wish you really much luck in this.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.